What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Patrick here. Moving on to the next question. We've done a question like this before where we're given the area expressions for a rectangle and we have to find an expression for the length, width, and then the perimeter. However, in the previous section when we did this kind of question, we had quadratics for the areas where the a value was 1. Well, now notice the a value is not 1, but the same process is going to apply. So just as a quick review, we know area of a rectangle is equal to length times width. And so what we could do is if we could take these area expressions here, if we could factor them into two factors, well, then we'll have the length and then the width expressions, which is part of the question, but then we also have to find the perimeter, and then the perimeter, let's actually write it over here, for a rectangle is what? It's 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, right? Length plus width, like that. So once we get those expressions for the length and the width, we can just plug them in here, expand, simplify, get the perimeter. You could also use the formula 2 bracket L plus W, right? Both of these are the same. This is just with the 2 factored out. However, I'm probably just going to be using this formula, but you could also use this one. Just make sure that you get the same solution that I do, right? So let's get into it. So the first area, we got 6x squared plus 5x minus 21. Right? First thing we check with factoring, can we take out a greatest common factor? Notice 6, 5, 21, no. And then in terms of variables, we can't take anything out either, right? So let's go into the decomposition. A value is 6, the B value is 5, and then the C value is negative 21. Then what we got to get, the AC value, which is going to be 6 times negative 21, which would give us negative 126, like that. And then what we do is we find two numbers that multiply to that negative 126 and then add up to that B value of 5. And if you do a couple of trial and errors with the 126, try a couple of different factors, what you would end up getting is 14 and negative 9. So 14, negative 9. So 14 times negative 9 gives us negative 126, and 14 plus negative 9 is like 14 minus 9, which would give us positive 5. So then what we do, we decompose that middle term like that. Actually, you know what? It doesn't matter. Again, the order doesn't matter here. Usually, I've mentioned before, when I get a mixture of positives and negatives, I usually like to put the negative there, so then we don't have to worry about factoring out a negative over here. But let's just keep it like this for now. So we could take out a 2x from both of these. So we'd be left with what? 3x plus 7. Right? If we take a 2x, if we divide 2x by both of these, we end up with 3x plus 7 here. And then from these two, we could take out a minus, because this is going to be minus here. We could take out a 3, and we'd be left with 3x plus 7 as well. Right? Negative 9x divided by negative 3 gives us positive 3x. Negative 21 divided by negative 3 gives us positive 7. So then we could take out the 3x plus 7, that binomial common factor, and we're left with 2x minus 3, like that. So that ends up being the expression for the length and the width. Here the length is longer, so I'm going to use this one. Again, it doesn't matter. You can make this the width, this the length. I'm going to make this the length, this the width. They're interchangeable. But just to make sense with our diagram, I'm going to label them like that. You could also check your answer as usual. You could expand these, make sure that you get that same area expression. So length, width, we're done part of the question. We also, though, have to find the perimeter, which is going to be 2L plus 2W. So we plug in 2 times the length in brackets, right? 2 times the length plus 2 times the width expand this, and then we'd end up with 10x plus 8. Right? This ends up being 10x, 14 minus 6 ends up being 8. So 10x plus 8, that ends up being the perimeter for that rectangle. Right? So that's basically the process, just basically more factoring practice. So let's, we got 5x squared. Let's go to the next one, 19x minus 4. Can't factor anything out initially, so let's go into the decomposition. Or sorry, not A is 1, A is 5. The B is 19, the C value is negative 4. So the AC value is negative 20. 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. So what we got to do, find two numbers that multiply to negative 20 and add up to that B value of 19. So this one's easier than the first one. To find those two numbers, it would be what, 20 and negative 1? That works. So what we would do then, decompose this. Let's put the negative first now. So we'll put minus x plus 20. X like that, right? Negative 1x plus 20x gives us positive 19x. Again, you could put the 20 here and the negative 1 there. Doesn't matter, you should get the same answer in the end. From these two, I could take out an x. So we'd be left with 5x minus 1. From these two, I could take out a 4. And we'd be left with 5x minus 1. Right? These two brackets should always be the same. If they're not, you got to go back, check your work. So it's a nice check within the process to make sure that you're doing the correct steps. So we take out the 5x minus 1, we're left with x plus 4 as the other factor. Okay, so in this case, again, length and width interchangeable. I'm going to let 5x minus 1 be the length. I'll let x plus 4 be the width. And then what we do, we take those length and width expressions, plug them into the perimeter. 2 times the length plus 2 times the width to get the expression for the perimeter. Or, sorry, 8. Like that. And then from here, like terms, 12x plus 6 minus 2 plus 8 gives us plus 6. All right, so for this rectangle, the perimeter ends up being that. All right, so if you get a question like this, basically take the area, factor it, you get your expressions for the length and width, they're interchangeable, and then if they ask you for the perimeter, you could just use that formula.